Welcome to Michelle's Corner. I'm Dr. Shell. Michelle's Corner is where you dare to be inspired to cultivate your God-given talents to positively impact the next generation, one mind and soul at a time. Today's topic, we're going to be discussing, are you bitter or are you better? And I know we've heard this discussion several times over our lifetimes, or you may have never heard it. But the standpoint that we're coming from today is bitter or better, whichever one you choose, is a choice. That's just it. You have the option to choose to become better from a situation or to allow the situation to make you better. We're going to be using a couple of examples, two of different patients of mine. We're not going to say names, but we're going to use two different patients. And I'm going to show you in each step, each situation, how they either chose at one point in the process to be bitter about the situation and how they climb or rose above to become better from it. Or you may find that they may be still in that bitter place, but becoming bitter or better is a process and it is a choice. With each encounter that we have, it gives us an opportunity to become more aware of our true self and self-love. Once our awareness is heightened and we get in touch with our true self and start to truly love ourselves for who we are, then loving someone else becomes natural again. Because when you're hurting, hurt wants to hurt and love wants to love. So when we get back to the essence of who we are and start to once again love ourselves for who we truly are, then that's when the better process. We take away the goodness from the situation. Even though the situation may have been very horrific for the individual that went through it, it may even have caused them to go into a place of despair. But because you have that source of self-love and a higher being, you can draw from that. You can draw the goodness out of that particular situation and leave the bad. So that is the road of becoming better, not bitter. You become bitter when you harp on the negative things that you got from that situation and not allowing yourself to heal from it and to learn from it. The first patient is a guy. You know, he's in his early 40s. It was his first marriage. So needless to say, he's been cautious out of life. If, early 40s is, his first marriage. Live and let live. Whenever it happens for you, it happens. But this particular individual was in his early 40s. He had this whirlwind romance with the individual that he met online. And for a little bit, for a few months, it worked out great. He had everything that, we're taught that we're supposed to have. He had the wife, he had the kids, he had the house. He was living the American dream, or what we perceived should have been the American dream. But then when it fell apart, because he had attached his esteem to the marriage, when the marriage fell apart, so did his esteem. Should you not have been invested in the marriage? Yeah, you should have. But you should not attach your esteem to a thing that you have no control over. So whether it worked or not, we should still have a high self-esteem within ourselves. And so when the situation did not work out, it sent him to this downward spiral. And so in his mind, he categorized everything. And so now, in his mind, the divorce helped him to start a business that he wanted to start for 5 years, which was a positive thing that came out of the situation. But he just transferred his esteem from a marriage to a business. He now has his esteem attached to the business. And he thinks that he needs to stay in a place of, and he says it all the time, I'm bitter. I know I'm bitter. With that type of affirming yourself, reaffirming yourself that you are bitter, you are unconsciously trapping yourself in a prison of bondage within your mind. And by telling yourself, I'm bitter, I'm bitter, I'm bitter, you're reaffirming in your mind, you're reaffirming in your spirit, you're reaffirming in your soul that, hey, I'm bitter. So the one thing we need to learn from, be aware of how we speak to ourselves, that self-talk. Because when you come from self-love, the talks that you're going to have with yourself is going to be reaffirming that love. I am good, I am kind, I'm positive. No matter what happens to me, it will not affect how I feel about myself. And he, unfortunately, that's his talk to himself. So he's talking negatively to himself, but at the same time, he's unconsciously bondaging himself. Because he's thinking that's helping him to stay focused on his business, which he can still be focused on the business without having to be in a bitter place. He can come from a place of self-love without being hurtful or bitter about it. Because now he has this notion that all women want money, and the only reason the marriage did not work out was because he was broke. Now, I'm not disclaiming that financial burden, hardship doesn't put strain on a marriage. It does. Even to the people who has been in marriage game for many years. That's one of the leading causes of divorce. But that is not the sole thing that women are looking for in a relationship. Like, only if he feels like if he had the money, it would have worked out. If that was the case, if money issues was the only reason and his financial situation got better, so is he saying that the marriage could still get back together? I don't know. That's something that we're still working towards. But with him, he's still in a bitter place. But I see him taking steps to get to that better place, where he's now starting to interact with women on a more positive level. He's starting, I can see once we have our sessions, I can see his talking, starting to say, you know what, I can't, I'm not bitter. And it didn't work out, and I'm okay with that. But I'm still open to love someone else. He's not quite there yet, but he's getting there. And I have a second patient who is a female, who is in her mid-40s as well. She loved this individual. It was her first love. She loved him for many years, over 20 years, that they were back and forth in a relationship. But at one point it became a take relationship where she was giving and he was taking. And it became to the point where it was hazardous to her health. He even went so far as to still be with her but end up marrying some other woman. And that was devastating to her. To know that she had given her all for well over 20 years. She then, in effect, is now coming to terms with, hey, I'm not over this. They have a son who is grown himself, who is about to be in his mid-20s. And she, because the son reminds her so much of the father, she clinches to him for dear life. And it has not allowed herself to heal. And two things I found in both cases, they're both having these self-doubt talks, these reaffirming them to stay in their bitter state. Hate him, he ain't no good, he this, he that. Just really, instead of opening herself up to seeing why she feels the way that she feels, she's just closing it off saying that he was a jerk. And I think in any relationship, not that I think, I actually know in any relationship, there's two parties. And once we accept our responsibilities for our feelings and the way that we conducted ourselves, we can then accept the fact that, you know what, the other person is human. Was it right what they did? No. We are wanting an apology to say that, I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry that that happened. But guess what? Sometimes you will never get that. And that's just the hard fact about it. You won't get it. Sometimes a person may even go on with their lives and forget they even did that to you. And not even know the damage to the depth of what they did to you. But you have to know within yourself that, hey, it happened. Did it hurt? Yeah, it hurt. It hurt really bad. But I'm going to learn. I'm going to take the lesson from this, from the situation. I'm going to learn from it, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it in the past. because I will not take that baggage to my next relationship. It's kind of like being mad at somebody, you drinking the poison and expecting them to die. Yeah, we'll see how that works out. And I said all that to say is, life will happen. Circumstances will happen. You will get hurt. You will. People will hurt you. You will hurt people. But once we become aware of our true self and start to love ourselves for our true self, not this imitation of what the media perceives that we should be, or what they say we should want out of life, or what the definition of success is. When we get past all the superficialness about life and get down to the essence of who God has made us, then only then we can be on a road from bitter to better. Because both of those roads are a choice. And when you make that choice, you can choose to be better and learn from it and have a productive life, a meaningful life. Or you can choose to be bitter and continue to blame other people for your circumstances and the problems and the things that may happen to you. Because life will happen. But we have to choose to rise above the ashes and learn from it and get better. We're all beautiful souls that's connected in this intertwined world. We're all of us, we are. From the person you meet at Walmart, from the person you see on the streets, from the person you work with, from a co-worker to your sister to your parents, we are all interconnected. We are here for a reason and for a season. And why not make the most of the time that we are here on this earth to positively, the situation that you've gone through is not new under the sun. So that means you've gone through it. Somebody behind you will also go through it. Why not take that knowledge? You learn late, help somebody learn early, so they can be on the road to better and not bitter. Because hurt hurts and love loves. So in conclusion to this, if we can just stop and think and meditate and spend time with ourselves to get down to the true essence of who we are, we can all positively impact this next generation. They don't have to experience the things that we've experienced. They don't have to go through some of the things that we've gone through. If we can just sit and meditate within ourselves and learn from the situations and can positively talk to someone, tell them about it, show them about it. We're all connected in this world of all these beautiful souls. Choose to be better versus being bitter, because bitter ultimately will kill you. This is Michelle. That's my truth. Catch me each week on blacklistedtv.com. Peace, love, and blessings.